sensitive thing to say. Excuse me?
Go ahead. But I want to point out that you used the word context.
Yeah.
And Dr. James made this mistake an hour ago. And he claimed that I had taken...
Context is a mistake?
Yeah.
How?
It is.
How is that a mistake?
Well, because when you accuse me of taking something out of context...
I haven't accused you of taking anything out of context. I'm just saying when we consider...
You used the word context. You said that the point is that when you use the word context and you imply that I have somehow miscontext...
Have I implied that or have you inferred that? Did I say that you said anything other? I brought it up because I thought you agree with it, actually. I
might agree with it. But I just want to
very well agree that when you're mistreated, you're going to have a bad view of the person that's mistreating you. I think you understand that.
Let's say I do understand.
Okay, so we already agree on something.
Of the person that mistreated you. What I don't think can be contextualized is this notion that you should not only kill the person who mistreated you, which might be taking things a bit far, but that you should also kill their children and their wife and their dog and their goat and their cattle and their sheep.
Yeah. That was a text written 3,000 years ago. And when you're going to say now to not use that word Amalekite, he was speaking about the spiritual orientation of gun-carrying, grenade-throwing, missile launching people who want to destroy indiscriminately. That's what he was talking about. He didn't say about killing women. He didn't say about killing anybody. He's using the word Amalekite as an allegory or as a metaphor. And I think you understand this. I understand Benjamin, I understand how much you loathe organized religion, and I agree with this. I agree. But let's be accurate. Let's be precise.
Right now.
Netanyahu didn't say women. He didn't say women. Okay. If Epstein wasn't influenced by his Jewish religion, I know that it serves.
Oh, now let's be fair. Epstein was influenced by lots of things. Including
now you just said he was influenced by lots of things, okay? But if he misread...
Yeah, but let's not pretend that Judaism wasn't one of them.
If he misread or misunderstood Judaism, but he didn't do any of this he did it because of all the usual suspects. He did it out of greed, he did it out of vanity, he did it out of narcissism. The fact that he had a Jewish name, once again, he didn't take a certain passage from Talmud and say, oh, this is the Talmud passage and I can do this, that, or the other thing. What he did was more misogynistic than anti-Gentile. Okay, he would have done the same to Jewish girls because that's the kind of guy he was.
Well, that's not what's represented by this quote. And again, this quote was found in the Epstein file.
What? The
he
quote
says.
Quoted Rabbi Ovadia Yosef?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying that is what spurred him on. We have to make a connection that this crazy rabbi who was known as being as a lunatic, who was ridiculed in the press and in sketch comedy and on the streets and in academia, okay? We have to really, and Epstein himself probably would have ridiculed this and had no respect for this kind of rabbi. I don't know when he went to read any of his publications, or I don't know if he went to his synagogue, or I don't know if he listened to his sermons. I don't know. Okay, all we know is that he had mentioned this rabbi. But your inference, your point is you're saying that this rabbi...
He didn't reference the rabbi by name. He referenced this quote.
But that's the rabbi's quote. That's not...
correct.
It's not... Did the rabbi quote tractate in anywhere in a... Is that this? Or is that his own idea?
The link documenting this is already in the back channel.
Once again, we all know that Judaism has a lot of authors, and it's been around for thousands of years. And if we want to see the Judaism today, because that's really what we should look at. We should look today, not something that was written 3,000 years ago. And yes, you're going to find a very...
This quote was not written 2,000 years ago. This quote was written by a man who is now dead.
By a man.
But it's only like...
It was written
just a couple of years ago.
It was written by one man. That's
one man with 10 seats in the Knesset.
They didn't vote for him specifically because of that alone. they may have ignored it or bypassed it.
But you know what? He didn't lose any support after he said this.
I don't know that's true. I don't know. He did lose a lot of support.
I checked. Support.
He didn't lose support. Okay, first of all, he is not synonymous with Shas. People vote for Shas because Shas is the one who's looking out for their welfare, their education, their voice in housing and all kinds of stuff. They're not saying, oh, Shas is the people who hate the Gentiles the most. I'm going to run to the KLP right now. I'm going to run to the voting and I'm going to vote for it. You know better than that. You know that it's far more nuanced than that. But again, if your assertion is that it was the Judaic forces, he did what he did was because of Judaism, I'm going to have to flatly just disagree with you on that.
Stanley, do you think that anybody does anything because of Judaism, or do you think there's just nothing that's ever been done in the history of humankind because of Judaism?
I mentioned before, just like the guy who assassinated John Lennon read what that book was, what was it called? Catcher in the Rye. You're going to say now that the book was at fault, or you're going to say that the assassin was at fault? Or you may even say that John Lennon was at fault. Please, please, you know better than this. You know what Jean-Paul Sartre said, and I'm not in any way speaking about you right now. He said, if the anti-Semite, if the Jew did not exist, do you know how to finish the sentence? If the Jew did not exist, what did he say? If the Jew did not exist, the anti-Semite would have created him. Now, that is a very existential statement to make, because if Judaism did not exist, Epstein would have found some way to do what he wanted to do. Regardless, things do not assist us. We have our own, we make our own choices. And that's exactly what the case with Epstein. He was not in any way moved,
Well, that's an interesting distinction, because John was in here just a minute ago, with Christopher Hitchens' argument to some extent,
right,
which is, in a world without religion, good people would do good things and bad people would do bad things, but it takes religion to make good people do bad things.
Absolutely.
I actually think there's something important here, because I think that most people in a minimum lifetime that they have could not really form up what's necessary to be radicalized and start really doing nasty things. I think that when they're groomed from a young child with a tradition that's 1,000 years old, they can be radicalized within the span of their lifetime. Now, I happen to think religions are powerful things, Stanley, and they do push people, and they do push people to do things they wouldn't do without religion. Now, I don't know who think religions are not powerful things. You could say that. But I think you should be clear about this, whether you think...
I agree. I agree with you on one thing.
Religions are powerful things or not.
I agree with the fact that the rabbi should be careful. All rabbis and all priests and all imams should be very careful about what they say, because they have a certain kind of charismatic influence. I don't know if you remember that discussion that Stalin once said. Remember, they said to Stalin, you can't do this or that or the other thing because the Pope will be upset about it. And then Stalin said, well, how many divisions does the Pope have? And everybody told Stalin, you're failing to understand. The Pope has charismatic influence, he, by just his words, and this is, I think, the connection you're trying to make with this very insignificant rabbi who represented one portion of the population in Israel and exploited their oppression, and used that for whatever purposes he had. It does not represent Judaism as such. But once again, we have to connect the dots, and I don't disagree with what you're saying in the biggest picture, that yes, there are people who have found through religion the exact tool that they needed to execute whatever it is they're going to do. But I just don't see, in this specific case, I don't see a connection between Epstein, who couldn't give a flying fuck about rabbis, he really didn't, and something that this rabbi that was not even respected by the European community, which Epstein belongs to, I can't see the connection here. I really just don't see it. this specific case. But you want to talk about religion?
Wait, Stanley, let's see how much of this we can agree on. Because do you agree with me? It seems we agree that religions can encourage people to do things that they wouldn't do without that encouragement. Is that fair?
Well, when we hear words like jihad, or we hear words like I can say that for sure.
Okay.
We have pogroms, we have synagogue of Satan. Yes, we have enough to understand that people have been motivated.
And if you accept my simple claim that this quote was found in the Epstein files, with Epstein writing out this quote with his own typewriter to his friends, is that at least a little hint that he was moved by his religion?
You think he was a religious man?
I didn't say he was a religious man, but I did say that I don't be using this particular religious argument as part of his non-virtue signaling, shall we say, to his fellow compatriots.
Did Epstein keep kosher? Did he keep the Sabbath?
I don't know.
Did he separate his linen from his wool? So why is he going to listen to a rabbi, the goofy thing, and think all of a sudden now I'm religiously, I buy Judaism, I'm inspired by Judaism, I'm going to do exactly what this rabbi says because that's what the God who created this God that I don't even believe in watching.
I mean, what if the only part of Judaism that he ever was moved by was this one quote?
Well, then what does that say about him?
But this one quote pushed him to be more radical than he would have been without it.
Again, you're using the word Judaism. You're using the word Judaism when we should say Rabbi Yosef because he's an individual and he misconstrued, Jewish practice and Jewish focus. He took things out of focus.
Okay, so if I understand you right, you now accept that he could have been influenced by this rabbi to do these horrible things with these girls.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he was influenced by rabbis. I don't think he ever.
Why was he quoting rabbi in this very creepy way? Which is to say that these are just goy girls anyway. We can do what we want with them.
Why was he doing that? Okay, I think he was just not, he's using or abusing Judaism for that respect. But okay, fine. If you wanna say that,
now,
but we're not
so now we agree. Wait, you think that Judaism is some kind of baby that's been misrepresented here? Have you ever read the book? The central God in Judaism.
Right.
Maybe you were not here for the Bible reading. Maybe we just to set the tone and put ourselves back on a level, emotionally recover because it's been a hard day. I'll just take a minute to read from the baby, okay?
What are you reading?
Just a little minute to read from the baby. I'll read from the Book of Psalms. This is a reading from the 137 from Songs of Solomon, the Psalms of Solomon.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah.
This is the 137th chapter.
Yeah.
And just quiet your mind and ease your burdens. Relax into your chair. Breathe in.
Yeah.
Breathe out.
All right.
Let the lights dim in the room.
Let's talk to the point. I've always respected you in a conversation.
You have. All right. Here's verse 7. Remember, Lord, what the Edomites did on the day Jerusalem fell. Tear it down, they cried. Tear it down to its foundations. Daughter Babylon, doomed to destruction, happy is the one who repays you according to what you have done to us. And here's the gem. Here's the baby that I might throw out with the bathwater. Yeah. Happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks. Yeah, maybe we should throw out that baby with the bathwater. Maybe we should.
I do remember hearing that was misconstrued. But again, if you're going to take King Solomon, who wrote that, okay, he's a King Solomon, who you will go a few pages earlier in that, you will see how much he was condemned for much of his behavior. Okay? Again, I think there was a mistake. I think the Midrash will say that those babies should be killed out of mercy because it's like aborting a child that is going to have defects. But I'm going to have to look deeper into that. I don't seek these phrases in the Bible. I'm not a Bible advocate. I'm just asking Benjamin to be balanced in his coverage here. And I agree with you. You're going to find that this is why I'm not a religious person.
Is it balanced, Stanley? Is it balanced enough for you if I spent all day yesterday criticizing Mandami for having a Muhammad number of 1?
No. Listen. We're not. No. Listen. All I'm going to say is, I agree with you, and in talking about a Jewish person whose people have been persecuted because of religious beliefs, I don't think any other people have been as persecuted for their religious beliefs as Jewish people have by religions, okay, that have plagiarized Judaism, okay, and have just, thrown it back at them. The big crime that Jews did, okay, according to these two religions, these two Abrahamic derivative religions, was that we didn't accept one prophet and we didn't accept another messenger or whatever it was, okay? And yes, I will be the first one to agree with you that religion in and of itself, and yes, there are going to be phrases you're going to find that I'm going to agree with you about the Amalekites and possibly about this one. I'm going to have to do my homework on this one. But it says, again, go back to your original premise that Epstein did what he did and that he was in any way influenced. He was using it or he was trying to, yes, I'm not going to disagree with you that the religion can be used in the way that Epstein used it. It could be rationalized.
There you go. Hey, that's progress, Stanley. That's enough.
But it still doesn't mean that he represents, someone who is looking for the best out of his Judaism, someone who comes to Judaism in sincerity for Judaism. He's just using it as a one-night stand, okay, to get to where he wants to get to.
What about the Rabbi Ovada Yosef? Do you think he's also using Judaism as a one-night stand?
No, Rabbi Ovada Yosef was a nutcase who actually believed in everything that he said. He wasn't blessed with the social graces intact and a healthy mind to see all sides. And like I said, mainstream Israeli society...
Stanley, do you think that Rabbi Ovada Yosef was a scholar?
Of course he was a scholar. But you know how many scholars... of course he was a scholar.
Do you think his opinion here that non-Jews exist to serve Jews is based on his scholarship? Or do you think there's no foundation for this opinion in the scholarship?
If anybody understands the first thing about Judaism, if anyone looks into the Talmud, for every one statement that one rabbi makes, there's like 10 other rabbis that are disagreeing with him in different shades. He said what he said. Again, when the Talmud was written, whenever this passage was written, it was a response possibly to whatever was going on politically at the time. It was a hateful, bitter, emotional, irrational response, and he's digging it out because he wanted to manipulate his own people, and he wanted to go to the ballot booth and say things that the most primitive, the most deprived element wanted to hear. You can't take a sampling.
Yeah, I understand, Stanley, that he was speaking to an audience, and you claim that they're not scholars, and I get that. But do you think that he was speaking from his scholarship, or he was just making up shit?
I think he was missing out on the finer aspects of things he could have said. He could have pointed out...
of course he could have said other things. I grant you, he could have said other things. That's really not...
Because they exist. Other things...
Of course they do. Of course they do.
All right, just as long as we get that straight.
But he could have chosen other things to say from the scholarship. I'll agree that's obvious.
You're going to tell me now that there are bad elements in Jewish writings? I agree with you. There's nothing new about anything that you're saying.
And this particular, does this not go back in scholarship for 1,000 years of Judaism?
What?
Does this particular idea that non-Jews exist only to serve Jews not go back 1,000 years in Jewish scholarship?
For every comment like that, there are comments that condemn that kind of comment. That's what I'm going to say. right? It does say respect thy neighbor. It does say that all people are created in the image of God, and all people
does it say that the spark of deity lives only in the Jew, and that the non-Jew only exists to serve the material needs of the Jew?
No, actually, in Judaism, okay. Now again,
I'm not going to find that quote in the
listen. I have somehow become in this conversation. Somehow it's been derailed to me advocating all this, and all I want is precision. All I want is understanding that if one rogue rabbi says one thing and one nutcase, gets influenced by that.
The point is not that it's one rogue rabbi. First of all, it has 10 seats in the Knesset. This is not one rogue rabbi.
I beg your. Most rabbis disagree with Ovadia Yosef. Please.
Most rabbis disagree with each other all the time, but they're still rabbis. And it's still based on the scholarship. And the whole notion has been being said for 1,000 years. Here's the problem. This idea that the Jews are the chosen people and the other people are the not chosen people goes all the way back to the original text. I can find it in the text. You want me to read it for you right now?
But I know the text no less than you know the text. All I'm saying is, okay, first of all, it's important, again, the context. When this was written, okay, Judaism, okay, is a 3,000-year-old religion. When Judaism, what?
Maybe.
Okay, well, what do you want to say? That it's a 2,000-year-old religion?
Yeah, probably not 3, but 2,500.
Whatever. Okay, whenever Judaism came out, all religions were ethno-religions at the time. Okay, the Greeks had their religion, and they called anybody who was not Greek as a foreigner. The word for foreigner was the word barbarian. Okay, the Japanese have a word for someone who's not Japanese called something like goji or geiji. I don't know. The gypsies have a word. Okay, a very condescending, derogatory word for anyone who's not a gypsy. What is your point?
Well, if you want to bring it back to that, I don't think there's a lot of people today who believe that Thor is sitting around with a hammer banging out thunder and lightning. You?
And you know what? There are a lot of Jews that don't believe that Jews are better than other people. The fact that it was written, okay, you may have known that there was a Reformed Judaism and a Conservative Judaism, and I don't think most Jews really believe that they are any better.
What they believe. But I do know what they celebrate, and it seems to me that most of them, even the most secular Jews I found, Steve Appel, who can't say my name, that thinks there's 3 tribes of Israel, the most god-awful, ignorant person in Judaism I've ever met, still celebrates this day called Passover, when God kills children based on their ethnicity.
You know what?
Are the Greeks
Wait. I didn't say I disagree with the horrors of that, okay? But I will tell you this.
Do you celebrate Passover?
I agree with what you're saying.
Do you celebrate Passover?
I do not celebrate it in the way that is in any way condescending or contradictory or derogatory to Gentiles, but I will tell you what they do.
How do you celebrate a thing about killing Egyptian children?
Well, let me explain.
What part of it do you celebrate?
I remember, listen to me please, I remember the last time we discussed this one ritual that I brought up, and you actually found it hard to accept that this really exists. But if there are other Jews in the room who understand this, who know this ritual, there is a certain part of the Seder where we go.
We do the drops of wine.
Yes, you remember this, and this is to specifically point out that.
But you're just acknowledging that the Egyptian children are absolutely part of your entire story. And so here you are telling the story of a God.
Benjamin, you're going to have to let me complete my sentences if you're going to judge my sentences. So let's please, what we do is we acknowledge, okay, that this happened. And we take a drop of wine out of the cup of wine to show that we are not.
And do you acknowledge this by saying,
Benjamin, you don't do this usually.
Go ahead, finish.
All right. So what we are acknowledging, and when we take the drop of wine out, we're saying we are not celebrating this, okay? We are not celebrating that bad things have to happen, that God punished these people in that way.
Wait, they have to happen?
I didn't say that it had to happen, but saying
you said that bad things have to happen. You mean it was necessary for God to kill the Egyptian children?
No, wait. Did they happen or did they not happen?
It's all made up bullshit.
I agree with you.
But you're celebrating it. I'm just curious why
I
you're
didn't
celebrating.
say I was celebrating it. Did I say I was celebrating it?
Well, what is there to celebrate in all of this? May I ask?
Again, my purpose in having a discussion here is not to advocate Judaism or even defend Judaism, but I just want accurate, precise, academic, balanced reporting.
Well, academically, you say you celebrate Passover. So academically, you, as a secular Jew who thinks it's all bullshit, what part of that story do you find worth celebrating?
Well, you don't know my policy on free food, but that's a different story.
Well, no, I grant you that. I just wonder when you're telling that story and you acknowledge that God did this thing and that he killed the Egyptians, do you also acknowledge that a God who kills children based on their ethnicity is a worthless piece of shit?
I don't believe in God, but I'm the first one to say that if God killed firstborns, he's a terrorist. We're on the same page on this one. But I just want to hear from Benjamin that if he's going to say that Judaism or any religion has 90 terrible things,
click.
It doesn't stop there.
Subscribe.
Just mention that too.
Like.
And if it
click.
has a little
subscribe.
Spark, like that word spark.
Like.
Of empathy.
Click. Subscribe. And like. Now. Click. Now. Subscribe. Now.
I would find those specific lines in Judaism that show empathy, that show the better side, and I would try to bring that out of the believing Jew. I would say to him, oh, you say chosen this and that and killed them, but your religion also points out to you to love, it says, even love the Edomite, love the Egyptian, which of course parenthetically means love your enemy. It says you must, you take the wine out, not to rejoice in the killing of others. You have elements in Judaism that says love thy neighbor and that all people are created in the image of God, which should be respected, and to not kill and not steal. And that goes to not
hit the like button now. Subscribe now so you can watch more later. Hello? Hit the subscribe button now. Hello?
Do I think the Torah is...
You think the Torah is univocal? Do you think the Torah says thou shalt not steal consistently?
What does the Torah say? It says subscribe now. Click the subscribe button now. Hello? Hello?
That's not what I offered.
What?
That's not what I offered.
What did this fat fuck offer? Hello? Subscribe now. What are you waiting for? Subscribe now so you can have more in the future now by subscribing now.
Okay, and we know that what is called the Pentateuch,
the Pentateuch
has several authors.
Let's do a bull rush. Bull rush!
Multiple authors, right? Heard of this? All right, well, I'll get into that.
I haven't heard of it.
I have. Okay, well, if anybody wants to explain this, I've spoken.
No, I just want to say, Benjamin, I hate you. Okay, you are a hateful person. And the reason that Benjamin can't understand Judaism is because Judaism encounters the entire human. And it wants to talk about the entire range of human emotion. Not this fucking pie in the sky, be perfect, don't be perfect. But Benjamin is so anti-humanity and is so anti-himself and so alienated from the human experience that he can't but help nitpick and not even nitpick, but like go after other groups because he has no groups, because he's just a wounded little puppy out there. Don't fucking listen to Benjamin. Nobody should respond to any more of his questions about Passover or about Muhammad or about any of these things. You know how you stop getting a troll life? Stop giving it attention. So fuck you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, my rabbi told me not to discuss.
Caleb is my personal sexual advisor. He always comes up with advice on my sexual. I want Stanley to be able to respond. Stanley, did you want to respond to that at all?
Sponsor.
I'll
Can
comment.
we eventually put a pause on the interrogations?
Sure.
Eventually.
Wait.
But
Elliot wanted to say. I spoke quite a bit. Elliot wanted to say. Somebody wants to say something.
Well, I just want to respond to my personal sexual advisor. Yeah. I was surprised that he came up after 5 hours discussion about Sephardi leader Ovadia Yosef saying that non-Jews only exist to serve Jews, and after 5 hours of talking about this particular quote, he's angry at me. He had not one bad thing to say about Ovadia. He didn't say that Ovadia suffers from some complex that leaves him incapacitated. He didn't say that Ovadia, is a broken soul that doesn't have a community, doesn't have a tribe, doesn't have a group. He didn't say that Rabbi Ovadia is somehow lost.
Well,
he said that I am the broken one here. I just think that is so telling. That Caleb and Dr. James, with all of their education,
you know what? You know what, Benjamin? You baited me. Here I am now. Good job. Here I am now. You fucking piece of shit. Ovadia is a racist. End of story. There. Now what? You think you're so goddamn clever? You think you're so goddamn clever that you're the first person ever to point out problems with religions? You think you're the fucking genius of the world? Who the fuck do you think you are? Honestly, who the fuck do you think you are to behave in such a way? You want people to give respect. You want people.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
You do not afford anybody that opportunity.
I've invited you up to say this for 5 hours. What took you so long?
Fuck you. That's all there is to say, Benjamin.
5 hours.
You are
5 hours.
5 hours. You needed my attention for 5 hours, Benjamin.
It took you 5 hours.
Are you that fucking lonely? 5 hours you waited for me, Benjamin. Here I am, my love.
Thank you, Caleb. It's good to see you.
Go to hell.
You could have said that 5 hours ago, honestly, and should have done it. Next time,
I was fucking
Next time, so long.
I was sleeping through the boredom and the monotony and the idiocy. I was fucking sleeping. God damn you. Don't take so long. No wonder you're not married. No wonder you're estranged from every fucking human being on the planet. Go to hell. Get a life. Close the room.
Hello?
Get a life.
Hello? 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 Hello?
So when I criticize somebody who is a racist, and we both agree he's a racist, you call me the racist. That's what I don't understand that.
Benjamin, you're like a guy. Benjamin, you're like a guy. Benjamin,
you call me a racist.
Ben, you're a guy who gets slapped in the face and said, "Please, sir, may I have another? Would you like another? I'll slap you around some more. Would you like that? Would you like that? You're a guy who sees a bullseye and decides that actually I'm going to aim 5 inches to the left because the bullseye was placed there by somebody wanting me to do something. I won't do anything that anybody else wants me to do. Blah, 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 blah. Listen.
Hello?
You want to have a serious conversation for once in your fucking life? Or you want to be a fucking troll? Because if you want to be a troll, I'm going to treat you that way. If you want to have a serious conversation, you want to learn something about Jewish culture, or any culture that you happen to go against at that particular day.
I have a serious question.
Yeah.
You ready for a serious goddamn answer? Now, this is the question.
Yeah.
How did this Rabbi Ovida Yosef, with his 10 years of schooling and always learning in his goddamn stack of 1,000 books, going back 1,000 years in the Jewish history, lead him to the point where he thought that what the book says was that non-Jews exist to serve Jews? Tell me that.
Well, every ancient culture, and Jewish culture included, had bad stuff to say about its neighbors. And there are parts in Jewish texts that say things like what he said. Is it a conventional view that people go out there preaching and saying, hey, Jew, hey, non-Jew, hey, go ahead.
Hello?
Right? Serve me.
Hello?
It really isn't.
I hope you're enjoying. You should be subscribed by now. Hit the subscribe button before it's too late, and you lose out on more. Now, subscribe now.
Seriously?
Hello?
About world matters?
Hello?
No, not really. Was he a giant Torah scholar? Yeah, he was.
Huge story.
Christopher Hitchens famously went on Fox News one time with Sean Hannity, and they were talking about Jerry Falwell. And towards the end of the conversation, Christopher Hitchens remarked that if you were to give Jerry Falwell an enema, he'd be able to bury him in a matchbox. Okay, and we can say the same thing about this guy, and we can say the same thing about this Yosef clown.
Yeah, and actually his Torah, the stuff that he wrote, legal opinions and things like that, is very, very, even my liberal, progressive...
Subscribe now.
Right,
It's your last chance.
As far as, like...